we are, Global Ironman HQ. Welcome. The truck on the hoist is always a pretty exciting day, but this is where the excitement's at. Ironman's 4x4 Pro Forged aluminium upper control arm solutions for the D23, the Nissan Navara, the mighty NP300, whatever you want to call it, they're here, they're available. They've got them for the Rangers, they've got them for a bunch of other trucks, but finally, been waiting for these things for a year or even probably a bit longer than a year. They're now available. We're going to throw them into the truck and have some fun on the way. Let's do it. Let's have a closer look. OEM standard upper control arm for the D23, and you can see what's going on. It's just collapsing straight down onto the strut top tower, limiting our droop. This is where the magic comes in. This thing here is going to solve our problems here. It's going to go in there, it's going to do its thing and solve all our problems. But I'm not the smart one in the room. I'm going to introduce you to Kristian who's the Ironman 4x4 suspension director. He's going to talk all technical. He's going to melt your brain with some really cool information that I know you want to know about, and I want to know about too. So Kristian.
G'day Jason, how are you? Here it is.
Solve our problems, please.
We finally got there, didn't we, with this? It took a while, but we got here. Look, the Navara, I think every Navara owner knows, if they haven't already, taken their vehicle in to four-wheel drive shop to get the suspension looked at. They've been told that you can only lift your Navara so far. It's usually, some people say 2-inch, but it's realistically around 35 to 40 mil lift. The reason for that is because the amount of travel is limited. You can only go so high until your suspension can no longer travel back down. So every time you go over a bump, it reaches a hard stop, you get a clunk in the front of your vehicle, it rides like rubbish, you feel it every bump you do. More than that, your wheel alignment, everything like that all gets thrown out of balance. So we're here to try and fix that. Right. So as it stands now, we make a raised height spring and a shock absorber, a strut, that takes care of the ride quality. It really controls the front of the vehicle. You can go pushing hard into some big dips and bumps off-road, makes the vehicle ride really well. But we're still limited by the amount of down travel. What we have here is an arm that has been produced using forging technique, which is basically a high quality aluminium forged into shape, which is really strong, very accurate. It allows us to ensure that the arm is perfect every time. Every arm that we make is within 0.1 of a millimeter accurate.
I told you he will melt your brain with stats, but seriously, listen in close, because this 0.1 of a mil tolerance, that's some pretty sexy information.
Exactly. Look, it's
because if we compare them to other up control arms on the market, which are mild steel, tubular type,
welded
designs, which we all know, those ones. I've looked at them too. What tolerances can they be in? And we're talking, you make 100 arms, those 100 arms will all be different by...
Yeah, well look, what the problem you've got with fabricated arms is what's called heat pull. As you weld, you're introducing a lot of heat. There's heating, there's cooling going on. That material shrinks and expands and it cools at different rates, and you end up with variation between every arm. You build 100 arms, they will all be a little bit different. So, there are jigging techniques and things like that which you use, but the reality is none of those will get it as accurate as what a CNC machined arm will be.
It's just engineering reality. And that's why these guys went with this really high-end engineering solution, and hence why German manufacturers of high-end supercars, etc., are doing the same.
Exactly. When you've got the ability to do it, why wouldn't you? That's what it comes down to. We could very easily go and weld up some tubular arms and achieve round about the right wheel alignment, but why stop there? Why not go to this? Because this technology exists, it is perfect for the application. It's strong, it's accurate. It allows us to form shapes and generate clearance, which would be much more difficult to do using preformed, steel shapes. So it really does give us ultimate freedom.
This is genuinely why I'm excited. I mean, seriously, everything that Kristian's saying, back into our motorsport days, this is where some really sexy stuff is at. So I'm sorry for the passion, but it's the truth.
Right, so back to it. What we're doing with this is basically replacing the original arm, and by using this forging technique, we've generated a lot more clearance inside of the ball joint area. So we're opening up more droop potential before that control arm touches the strut tower. That's the limitation in there. If it wasn't for that touching the strut tower, we can generate more lift and therefore more droop, which is exactly what this is going to do. Okay, more than that, what we've done at the same time is reposition the ball joint and the angle of the ball joint to accommodate a better wheel alignment at the increase in height. So there's guys out there that want to go 2, 3, even 4-inch lift using combination of various different lift techniques. This arm will allow that to happen, because without the arm, you cannot do a bigger lift than that. So, you know, whether you're using it with our suspension or you've already got a suspension kit or whatever the case may be, the arm is useful. You can use this anywhere. It doesn't need to be part of
And that's a really important piece of the puzzle too. You might have other gear running in short, but this upper control arm here is next level solution.
Yeah, and look, there's no maintenance, you don't have to re-grease anything, there's no extra adjustment required in here. You know, look, there are opportunities to perhaps add some adjustment into upper arms, but realistically, it is just not necessary. You know, we've got the factory adjusters built into the lower arms. There's actually plenty of range there, provided that the starting point is matched to the lift. So what we've done is recalibrated the ball joint position to suit the increase in height, which has put it back where it should be, and we can still use the factory adjusters to fine tune that range, to get our wheel alignment, to get the vehicle handling as we should.
Well, it's fair to say I couldn't have said it better myself, but anyway. I told you he would melt your brain. I love it, I love it, I love the numbers, I love the data, it is so cool, and I really do get excited about geometry stuff. As you can see, that's why I'm already running Foam Cell Pro suspension. Let's get it sorted, mate. Now, we're really privileged. The legends here at Ironman 4x4 have given us a bit of a sneak peek into the lair. They call it the lair, the suspension lair. This is where all the genius happens. Anything globally, anything suspension related, comes out of here or gets developed in here and then across the world. Let's go check it out. First things first, get the PPE on. Very thankful to get an opportunity to go through these doors, let me tell you.
All right, well, let me just finish up what I'm doing. All right, well look, it's probably a good opportunity just to give you a brief rundown on, show you the difference between our shock and say an original shock. You know, what do we do to the shock? It's more than just making a shock longer, bigger, stronger, anything like that. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes internally, generating the right kind of performance to suit what people actually need when they're out in the vehicle. So you can see here actually we've got a difference, a comparison here showing the original graph here. So we've got the compression line up here, you can see here, you've got the rebound curve here. That is of the original shock, okay? You can see it's you know, generally quite soft, it provides a bit of plush comfort. Most people are quite happy for general on-road use. But the second you start taking it off-road, bolting heavy accessories to the vehicle, you know, asking a bit more of the vehicle than what it was originally intended, that no longer has a level of control that you need from the shock absorber. So we, you know, invest quite a lot of time, effort, using all sorts of different methods and equipment to develop valving that delivers, adequate performance for the sorts of things that we do on the weekend, or go out, use our vehicles for work or whatever it may be. So, a lot of people are of the misconception that when you upgrade a shock absorber or upgrade your suspension, that it becomes very harsh and stiff. That's not the case at all. What we're doing is making the suspension, recalibrated, re-centralized over its new, performance area. So, we do all this here. We make sure everything is set correctly long before it goes into production. So it's what we do.
It's perfect. To round all that up, all that technical talk, it's perfect is what it is. We've got it loosely bolted in. Let's connect the hub assembly, and you can really start to see how much space there now is between that strut top and that upper control arm, whereas on the standard OEM arm, when that was crushed, maxed out, zero tolerance. Talk to me, mate. Talk to me. Tell me, what have we achieved?
Okay, we've generated more gap underneath. Very important. Everyone wants more gap there, right? What that does is allow us to get a longer strut in there, which we're bringing out, make use of more down travel. More will travel off-road. It can only be a good thing. Okay. Same time, we've also corrected the angle of that ball joint. So at ride height, that ball joint's going to be sitting completely natural in the middle where it wants to be. There's no angle or any stress on the boot or anything like that. Give it a wheel alignment next. We'll have a look then at everything, make sure we've got full clearance, and we go for a drive, test it out, and have some fun.
So we've got camber correction, caster correction,
longer travel
correction.
And the question you've been asking, and what everyone's waiting for, is how much downwards travel did we establish? Okay, so as it stands right now, with a longer travel strut in there, we've got an extra 20 mil out of it. For a Navara, or a 23, it's beautiful, it's just what you want. And it means you don't need to do any other crazy mods. There's no extra money to spend on any other spaces or anything like that. An extra 20 mil is lifesaver.
20 mil, and there's still space left. So I'm not clanging like I was.
Exactly.
That easy. Crunch time. The numbers don't lie. Kristian, talk to me.
All right, look, we've put the arms on the vehicle, chucked it on the aligner, brought it up on the screen. We can already see that we've got bucket loads of caster straight away. We're actually going to have to dial that back to get it back in the green. So we're going to put it in, we're going to pull that back into the range, we're going to tidy up the camber, tidy up the toe. This thing is going to drive pin straight, going to handle really well. We're going to take care of the tyre wear.
The higher you go, you lose caster. Keep going higher, you're losing caster. So as I was set up before, I had very little caster, I couldn't catch it back. I couldn't get it back into the green. I was just compromising. But now, we've got too much, we're going to fine tune it back into the green. Well, here we are, road test. I think on first impressions, it just glides, it just tracks. There's, you know, the road's a little bit bumpy now, and there's just no real, yeah, see right now, like before I felt like you were just chasing it a little bit with micro corrections, where now it just tracks true. That's how it feels. In my hands, it just feels like it just cruises through some of this rough sort of stuff. Whereas before, with the caster being so short, you were just chasing it a little bit. So, man, look at that. That feels way better. That genuinely glides. Like, it just glides. It actually just drives through some of the undulations in the road. Beforehand, especially when it got a little bit, you know, off the beaten track, even if you're on the blacktop, you're still sort of darting around chasing a little bit like this. So this feels really good. What an improvement. I'm impressed.